On a damp April morning in 1956, East German and Soviet soldiers, digging near the Berlin border, struck wood instead of earth. They uncovered a hidden, expertly built tunnel, packed with advanced electronic equipment and listening devices. This was no ordinary structure, it was a secret eavesdropping station, a technological marvel beneath the Iron Curtain. The Soviets quickly called in the international press, turning the discovery into a propaganda spectacle. Journalists toured the tunnel, marveling at its scale and sophistication. The tunnel stretched nearly 450 meters from a disguised warehouse in West Berlin, running under the border to a Soviet telephone exchange. Its purpose to tap into Soviet military communications and gain unprecedented insight into their plans. Now exposed, the tunnel became a global embarrassment for the United States and Britain. The Soviets painted the West as villains, violating international norms. The CIA, masterminds of the operation, were left humiliated. Their most secret project was now a communist showpiece. But the story of the Berlin spy tunnel, Operation Gold, was far more tangled than a simple case of Western overreach. The dramatic discovery was not the end, but the beginning of a deeper tale of deception. What seemed like a catastrophic failure was, in truth, a masterclass in Cold War intrigue. The world had only glimpsed the surface. Beneath it lay secrets that would take years to unravel. To understand the tunnel, you have to understand Berlin. After Wadi II, Berlin was split into 4 sectors, deep inside Soviet-controlled East Germany. This made it the epicenter of the Cold War, a city where spies, soldiers, and civilians from both sides lived side by side. Berlin became a chessboard for the world's intelligence agencies, CIA, MI6, KGB, and Stasi. Diplomats, journalists, even shopkeepers could be spies or informants. The city was a front line where secrets and lies replaced armies. Western agencies used Berlin to peer into the communist world, intercepting signals and meeting agents. The Soviets in turn spied on the West from East Berlin. This constant struggle created an atmosphere of paranoia and suspicion. Every move was watched, every conversation suspect. In this tense environment, Operation Gold was born. By the early 1950s, the Cold War was intensifying. Western intelligence desperately needed insight into Soviet intentions. Berlin, deep inside enemy territory, was the perfect listening post. The challenge: how to get close enough to Soviet secrets without being detected. The answer would be one of the boldest gambits in espionage history. The tunnel was set to change the game. Operation Gold, codenamed Stopwatch by the British, was a daring plan to tap Soviet military cables running near the border. The idea: dig a tunnel from West Berlin, pass under the border, and intercept top-secret communications. The technical challenges were immense. The CIA built a fake warehouse as cover, excavating by hand to avoid detection. Soil was bagged and removed in secret. The tunnel was lined with steel and concrete, fully lit and air-conditioned. British telephone experts spliced into hundreds of wires without alerting Soviet technicians. For nearly a year, American and British teams worked around the clock, recording torrents of information. The operation was a symbol of Western unity, combining American resources with British expertise. For 11 months, the tunnel delivered a flood of intelligence. The West believed it had gained a decisive edge in the espionage war. They thought they were one step ahead, but beneath the surface something was terribly wrong. The real danger was not technical, it was human. The fatal flaw in Operation Gold was George Blake, a senior MI6 officer and secret KGB mole. Captured in Korea and converted to communism, Blake returned to Britain a hero, but his loyalty was to Moscow. In 1953, he attended a top-secret meeting where the tunnel plan was unveiled. Blake passed every detail to his KGB handlers before the first shovel hit the ground. The Soviets knew about the tunnel from the start. The West, confident in their secrecy, were digging into a trap. Blake continued feeding information, ensuring the KGB was always ahead. His betrayal compromised not just the tunnel, but countless Western operations. For MI6 and the CIA, it was the ultimate betrayal. The Berlin tunnel was doomed before it began. The stage was set for a brilliant Soviet countermove. With Blake's intelligence, the KGB faced a choice: expose the tunnel and risk their mole, or let it run. They chose subtlety, allowing the tunnel to operate while feeding it controlled information. Sensitive communications were rerouted. The tapped cables carried only routine or misleading data. The CIA and MI6 analysts, unaware, believed they were hearing the enemy's secrets. For 11 months they recorded thousands of hours, convinced of their success. In reality, the Soviets were using the tunnel as a decoy, protecting Blake and distracting the West. The operation became a masterstroke of counter-espionage. The KGB turned the West's greatest strength into a profound weakness. The tunnel, a marvel of engineering, was now a tool of deception. The Soviets waited patiently, knowing the time to spring the trap would come. The West, meanwhile, remained blissfully unaware. The real secret stayed hidden. The Berlin Tunnel was a Cold War chess move, one the West never saw coming. The trap was set, and the world watched, none the wiser. The final act was about to begin. In spring 1956, the KGB decided to end the charade. With Blake's transfer imminent, they staged the tunnel's discovery for maximum propaganda impact. The world's press toured the tunnel. The Soviets denounced Western gangster tactics. The CIA was stunned, unable to explain how the tunnel was found. Internal investigations found nothing. The truth remained hidden. The agency still believed the tunnel had been a partial success. The exposure sent shockwaves through the intelligence world. It proved no secret was safe in Berlin. The tunnel became a symbol of Cold War audacity and paranoia. But the deepest secret, the mole at the heart of the operation, remained buried. The real story would only emerge years later. In 1961, a Polish defector exposed a high-level mole, George Blake. Arrested and interrogated, Blake confessed, revealing the full extent of his betrayal. The tunnel had been compromised from the start. The intelligence gathered was largely worthless. Blake was sentenced to 42 years but escaped in 1966, fleeing to Moscow. There, he was celebrated as a hero, never expressing regret. Operation Gold's technical feats provided lessons for future operations, but its greatest legacy was a harsh lesson in counterintelligence. Today, Berlin is unified, but the ghosts of the Cold War linger. The Berlin spy tunnel remains a story of ingenuity, betrayal, and deception. It reminds us that the Cold War was fought not just with armies, but with secrets and shadows. The tunnel, silent beneath Berlin, is a monument to that hidden war.